Hi, welcome to week 4 of the Prep Football Press Box. That must mean I'm registered guard sports reporter Ben Schorzman. We have so much to get to this week, with a lot of conferences now picking up in the second week and some getting right into league season. So let's dive right into it with our game of the week, the game that I will be at Friday night. That is South Medford at Sheldon, another Southwest Conference showdown between these two teams, very familiar with one another. South Medford coming off a win last week against Willamette, with some ties there between those two teams. And then Sheldon coming off a big win at Grants Pass, a team that they lost to in week 3 of the 2014 season, that kind of put them behind the 8 ball in that conference chase. So let's dive a little bit into the matchup between these two teams. It's at Dennis Ludwig Stadium this year. So Irish coming off that win, like I said, at Grants Pass. The week before, they lost in double overtime at Jesuit. So they've rebounded from that game against a great team in Grants Pass that won the conference last year. In that game against Grants Pass, Justin Herbert, another outstanding game at quarterback, threw for a couple touchdowns, really managed the game well with another starting running back in Miseke Fuyava-Thompson, who's filling in for Taylor Bratton. Herbert this year is just some incredible stats that just further prove why he's one of the best in the state. He's averaging more than 330 yards passing this year. He's thrown 12 touchdown passes to 2 interceptions, and he's averaging more than he's completing more than 64.3% of his passes. So he's exactly what we thought he would be this year. He's really spread it around. Sheldon has 3 different receivers that have at least 3 touchdowns. So he's got a lot of weapons out there on the fringes. And then when they do run the ball, which predicates their offense, why it's so successful, Fuyava-Thompson, who they call CK, is just in a dynamite job. He transferred from a school in Illinois, and since coming in and filling in for Taylor Bratton, who tore his ACL in week 1 at Tigard, he's done nothing but what Sheldon's asked. He's come in, given them some big yards, can catch out of the backfield. He had a couple touchdowns last week against the Cavemen when they really needed it. So look for him to be even further integrated in the offense this week against the Panthers. The Panthers beat Willamette last week at home. That had some fringe of a rivalry game almost, with Coach Josh Wolfram's dad, Jerry, being a former member of Bill Singler's staff down at South Medford. But the Panthers, they're right where they're always at. You know, it seems like always in the mix. They're 2-1 so far this year. Should be another competitive game in the Southwest Conference. Kind of looking down the other games in the area real quick, we have Marist going to Summit. That's a big game for the Spartans. They're coming off a win last week against North Bend of Class 4A, but they go to Summit, who they beat in the first round of Class 5A playoffs last year. A big non-conference test for them. Speaking of another team that will be in the area, Class 5A number 1 Springfield plays at Mountain View, a team that last year was ranked number 1 at one point in the season. Off to a rough start this year at 0-3, but very tough, especially at home. Also in Class 5A, West Albany is coming to Churchill with all sorts of neat matchups in there, including the fact that Churchill former head coach Daryl Mell is now an assistant at West Albany with his son Brian Mell. So that should be an interesting little dynamic there, with Ray Yarborough playing his predecessor there with the Lancers. North Eugene, which is still undefeated at 3-0, travels to Gold Beach looking for a little revenge. The Panthers beat them last year 22-18 at home. So look for North Eugene to beat them, get some revenge, and start the season 4-0, which I'm sure my pal Paul Yarborough could tell me when the last time that was, but it's been a long time since the Highlanders have started the season 4-0. And looking down the list a little bit more, Roseburg, off a surprising win last week against North Medford and Thurman Bells last season, travels to Willamette to play those Wolframs and the Wolverines. And then we have South Eugene, which is coming off its first conference win since 2013. Go Axemen. They're going down south to play those Panthers, the Black Tornado in North Medford. So that should be a little bit more of a tougher game for the Axemen this week. And then wrapping up local coverage, we have Thurston at Grants Pass. Thurston let that game get away from them against South Eugene last week. They play a Grants Pass team coming off a loss at home. Should be a tough one again for the Colts. Thank you again for tuning in to this week's edition of the Prep Football Press Box. I'm Ben Schorzman. You can follow me on Twitter at benshaws_RG, and you can go to registerguard.com/sports for all of our coverage on Friday nights from around the area and even some games from out of the area. If you're looking for anything from local schools, you'll find it there. Thanks again, and talk to you next week.